Welcome to episode 1 of Mike B Meets, and I'm joined by the one and only Shane Solomon. Shane Solomon, how are you, sir?
Feeling a bit strange, if I'm being honest.
Well, this is why I wanted to get you on, because this is the first ever Mike B Meets. Everyone has seen Shane Solomon Meets, and you've interviewed some really interesting people.
I have.
Over years and years, you've interviewed pretty much everybody here in Cornwall, but no one ever interviews you.
Why is that?
And that's what I thought.
Then out of nowhere, you was very courteous and said, look, why doesn't anyone interview you? I would like to interview you. I'm like, no way.
Well, this is what I thought, Shane, because I think you deserve the opportunity more than anyone to have a voice. And I think what you do is extremely inspirational. Not just the bare bones of what your business does, which we'll come on to in a minute, but the way that you help people and push them up and support people here in Cornwall. And I think you deserve a platform to tell us exactly what you do. So please, for those that are not familiar with you, Shane, tell us who you are and what you do.
Okay, well, first and foremost, I really am...
You don't like it, do you?
I don't. I'm like really in a really uncomfortable position right now. But what do I do? If I was to sum up what I do, I assist business owners, companies, organizations to get more leads, more business using the power of online video, audio, and networking.
And I think that does sum you up in small words, but let's pick that apart a little bit.
Okay.
So we're in this really lovely looking podcast studio. And I know that's one way that you help businesses have a voice and get their message out there. So tell us a bit more about that and how businesses, if they're watching this podcast or if they've seen another one, how can they book this position right now and sit where we are?
Okay, so the first easy way is to send me a message. Or even better, for people that know me well, give me a phone call, because I love phone calls.
Not so great on emails. I think we all know that, but that's not a problem. You are on every social media platform, aren't you?
Indeed. So messages on LinkedIn, Facebook is my preferred one. LinkedIn is I'm getting better at that. But that's the two main kind of social media sites I like. Instagram, I'm a little bit with that one. And TikTok, again, I'm hit and miss with that. So that's the easiest way, is to give me a phone call, 07525 415 896.
We'll put that maybe down there or something. Yeah, that's probably the best thing. But this podcast studio, tell us a little bit about it, because you can do so much with it, can't you? This particular room, you can just do like audio or video, whatever, can't you?
Indeed, and I must say that, you know, the whole thing with the company Cornwall Channel and now Corker Media, it's all about listening to other team members. And this was an idea of Andy Whitaker. Said during the lockdown, we had this room. He said, well, why don't you turn it into a podcast room? They're kind of doing, you know, big business at the minute. People are really getting into podcasts. Yeah. And I was like, I wasn't so sure, but I did a little bit of research and, you know, asking a few people, and it seemed to be that there was an appetite for it. So I thought, well, absolutely, let's turn this into an actual room, because it was coming out of the lockdown side of things where people were not going to want to go over to people's houses to do recording. So I thought if we had a real safe environment that's, you know, clean and tidy and looks the part, then people might want to come and sit around a table and have the green room and things like that. So, you know, this is where it's come from that, really. So I listened to team members, and it's just multi-purpose. Like you said, you can come in and record some backing vocals if you want to do some voiceovers. As you can tell, the audio is really clear.
It is very, very crisp in here. You can hear a pin drop.
Exactly. And of course, we can do YouTube content by videoing them. So all our podcasts really are videoed as well, because there's lots of people that can do podcasts at home using their own mic, but it's when you start but it's when you start using 2 mics or 3 or even 4, you want to keep that quality consistent. So
that's the key thing, and I know a lot of people have benefited from the production quality that you guys offer here. Not only the video, but the sound quality. The sound quality.
Yes,
it sounds
quite
sound. Yeah, it sounds good. You know, and I think there's been some podcasts, and I know the healthcare podcast, which is one that I host. I mean, that's had, Tony did a count the other day, almost 80,000 views he's had on that podcast.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Filmed all in here at Caldronic Farm at the Cornwall Channel Studios. But there's been some other, Dan and James, the property guys.
They're great. Yeah, the Cornwall Property Podcast. They've been, again, very consistent. But the thing is, with this studio, people can book it. They can come and do their kind of month's content in one sitting and release them and drip feed them out.
And it's not as expensive as you think either, is it?
No. It depends how long your podcast is and how long it takes to edit. But, an average podcast here is around about £120.
Wow.
Fully produced. That's videoed.
And you do everything. You got producer Jay behind the studio here.
Indeed.
Behind the camera, should I say?
Indeed. Best in his price range.
He is. He'll like that one.
He is great.
But let's go back, because this is obviously a more recent development over the last couple of years. But, you've been in business, 12 years?
Yeah, probably longer than that. I've actually lost count. But I've been with Helen 14 years, so I was in business before that. So actually, it's got to be coming on for probably 15, 16 years, perhaps.
Wow. And you started, didn't you, with camera in hand, going around doing promotional videos for companies. Is that something you still do?
Absolutely. It's still at the heart of what the Cornwall Channel and now Corker Media is all about, which is video productions. I knew that my old life, I was a singer, and having a video to promote my singing really helped to send out to agents. They could see and hear what I was like. So I knew how important having a promotional video for a business to say what we do is. But a lot of people couldn't afford them. So I remember asking video production companies for some quotations for a promo video, 3-minute promo video. And we were talking like 5 to up to 10 grand.
Wow.
Bearing in mind this was 15 years ago. But still today, video production is a lengthy and timely process. So that's where the money comes into it. But a lot of small businesses here in Cornwall could do with a professional video, but they couldn't afford the upfront cost. So I thought instead of running them through credit companies and things like that, we'll just take the hit and the gamble, if you like, to allow them to pay monthly over 12 months.
Amazing.
Which kind of just opened it up to your local one-man or one-person hairdresser, right through to a multi-car dealership to have videos done with the channel. Whether you want one video a year or like now, we've got other clients like Power Market are pretty much having 2 productions a month.
Wow. And I know over the period of that time as well, I think everyone has seen a Cornwall Channel produced video at some point.
I'd like to think so.
I think in Cornwall especially, everyone would have seen one at least once. There's obviously people that more avidly follow what you guys are doing and the companies that you work with. But ultimately, you've kind of built up quite the following, haven't you, over the last 14 years? Tell us a little bit about the amount of followers that you've got now on the Cornwall Channel on Facebook. It's up to... 20-odd thousand?
It's 28,000 followers, 26,000 likes. That's on Facebook. Of course, we've got followers on other platforms. Twitter, I think, is just over 10,000. TikTok now is over 12,000. Instagram's our weakest one at just over 1,000. But I always believe in finding one that you're good at and sticking with that. So Facebook's always been the one for us.
But you make content for all platforms, don't you? Whether
absolutely, yeah.
Websites, social media, TV even you've dipped into, you finger into? Your toe into recently.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's nice in there. And we've done Julian Foy. I remember doing one of their commercials for Christmas. It was great. On Christmas Day, it played out after Coronation Street. So, we can do TV commercials. Anything content related, we can do. But going back to your thing about the following, it's been a long build. Yeah. And, of course, Facebook and all social media platforms really have kind of throttled back the way that, you can get followers. It's so much harder now when I first started.
The algorithm's changed a lot, isn't it?
It's so much harder. But that said, I always knew again that I didn't want to be just another video producer. One, I wanted to make it was affordable and a different way of getting it into the space of having a promotional video. But secondly, I wanted to be different in that I wanted to try and generate some interest and some views in people's videos.
Yeah, of course.
Because,
it's added value, right?
A USP, whatever you want to call it. And it's like, well, actually, not only am I going to make your video, not only am I going to let you pay for it monthly, I'm going to try and get you some viewers. I'm going to try and get you some interest so you can get some business as well.
And that goes back to what you were saying at the beginning about when you said it in a really short, sharp way about helping businesses get more leads and make more sales, right?
Yeah, using the power of online video or audio. Because, again, we can do audio recordings. I'm a big fan of video with audio, I'll be honest.
Of course. And that's why these podcasts work so great.
Exactly. So, we can extract the audio from this and just put it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever you want to do. But I think you may as well get them filmed because then you're kind of multi-purposing content and putting it on YouTube as well.
Yeah, you get multi-platform usability, as they call it.
Yeah, and it's their second biggest search engine in the world, so why not be on it?
Wow. That's an interesting statistic for anyone watching, that YouTube is the second biggest search engine.
It is, and you think like search conditions, like here's a little tip for you. Search conditions of how to do something is one of the biggest search
I do
things, right? Yeah. So
How to boil an egg.
Yeah, how to boil an egg, how to make Yorkshire puddings, how to whatever. And if you do that for your niche, so let's say, say you manufacture headphones. If you put in there, how to get the best sound from your speakers or from your headphones, and you give a bit of a freemium, a bit of a tip, then you start building that kind of community of following, because you're actually giving something as opposed to just selling hard to people straight away.
Of course.
And then once people build that confidence in you, then they kind of have that confidence to buy from you.
And you've done a lot of those types, and not just promotional videos. You've also done a lot of training videos, haven't you? That companies have utilised in that way. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, again, lots of videos, training videos. We've done a lot with a chap called Faisal, who you've met, who does training for BMW in the Middle East. So we've done training videos for BMW, but we've done training videos recently for life coaches, things like that. Jane Baylor, she's
she was
amazing.
on the phone just before this.
She was, so shout out to Jane. So, there's great coaches out there, people who can teach you and train you in kind of sales funnels and things like that we've done videos for. So training is a big thing. And also recruitment. So a lot of people now are trying to recruit more people into the businesses. Yes. We can create recruitment videos to draw people's attention from the social media. Let's be honest, it's busy on social media, so you need to stand out.
You need to cut through. And actually recruitment's an interesting one, because a lot of businesses that we know, and we speak to a lot of business owners doing the industry that we're in, they're really struggling to recruit people at the moment. And you've got to just look above the likes of just Indeed or putting a job description out on social media or putting something in the job centre anymore. That doesn't cut it. If you want to be an attractive company to work for, you've got to have something like a video, haven't you, to pull people in ultimately.
You've got to be remarkable, you've got to be different, and like you say, stand out.
Yeah, 100%. And you do that fantastically. And for those of you watching as well, you may not have been to the Cornwall Channel studios. I certainly advise it up here at Caldronic, but this isn't the only studio space, is it? Do you want to talk us through what else you've got here?
Yeah, so of course we're spread over a couple of studio spaces here, and one of them, Studio 1, I call it, has got a wonderful set with a kitchen set in it.
Yep, Cornwall Kitchen, I've seen that.
Cornwall Kitchen, where, not only do we attract chefs and cooks and things like that, but we attract wannabe cooks and chefs as well that just want to make some content for their social media.
And food's a big thing on social media now, right?
It's huge, absolutely huge. So that houses the kitchen set. Then we've got a kind of just an open set, which can be anything. It's been anything from the Santa's Grotto through to a spa where we've had beauty treatments, going back to the training.
Yes.
How to, perform a massage on cancer patients, for example. So it's multi-purpose in that studio. We've got a green room where it's quite important. So if you're waiting to come into here or into Studio 1, you can chillax in there. You can get your head straight. You can go over scripts and things like that. And then we've got the new meeting room area. And
that's some space there, I've got to say.
It's really handy.
There's people using it right now for something completely unrelated to the Cornwall Channel and Corker as well.
Yeah.
They're in there doing some kind of training seminar. They've hired it for the day, just off the A30 up here near Helland.
Plenty of parking,
And it's a fantastic space, Shane.
We hit gold when we found it, to be honest. And Hobby Mounts used to be up here, one of our clients, and I used to come up and film them. I used to think, what a place. What a place. I'd love to have a unit up here, but of course they come up very rarely because it's such a popular place.
It is.
But luck would have it, one came available, and we took the chance. And
that was the right thing to do for you all those years ago. I remember when you did that, actually, and you excelled since. And beforehand. I mean, it's a fantastic achievement that what you've done here. And I think there's a lot of business owners out there that hopefully are watching this on LinkedIn at some point.
Yeah.
Will be quite kind of, I think, fair play to Shane. He's done really, really well. And they've helped us as well. And that's the key thing. And I know your whole ethos is about helping people and businesses. Do you want to talk a bit more about that and about what because you're people focused, aren't you?
People over profits is my kind of philosophy. Look after the people, the profits will come. So don't focus on the money, focus on the people. So much so that, I've given advice, and this, we talked about this morning, where I've given advice to people that have watched what I've done, i.e. things like podcast studios, this setup. In fact, there's one of these that exists, in a county of Reading, that literally I gave all the information, the blueprint, how it works.
Yeah.
And off they go and create their own thing, doing exactly what we do here. But other people would say, oh, Shane, why are you telling them what equipment to get? Why are you telling them how to do this? Why are you telling them that? My philosophy is that they're going to do it anyway. If someone gets inspired by something I've done or something they're watching, they're going to work out how to do it. So I may as well help them and speed up the process than it is delay it for maybe a month or two.
And collaborate with people.
And collaborate,
right?
because they'll cut me off completely. Because, and I can't be everywhere.
No, you can't.
And to be fair,
you do try, though.
I do try.
You do try and be everywhere.
I do try.
I've never seen a man work so hard 7 days a week as you, I've got to say.
I just can't switch off, though, B.
No?
I can't switch off. Even when I'm at home, I'm still on my phone. I think my phone usage is like up to 10 hours a day.
Wow. Mine's only 5 or 6. I thought that was high.
It's savage. I need to get better at it. But I also enjoy what I do as well. So it's like you said, it's all about the people. And that's the thing. It's been at the core of everything I've ever done.
Yeah.
Is making sure I take time to meet people, learn what they do, how I can help them.
Yeah.
Because if you can just show enough people how to get what they want out of life, then you shall have everything that you want out of life.
I agree. That's a great philosophy to go by.
Zig Ziglar said that, and I was like, yeah, I like that. And reap what you sow. I'm not a religious man, but it's been in the Bible forever.
Yeah.
Reap what you sow. You've got to give to receive.
Yeah.
And be genuine with that as well.
And I think that's really, really important. And people see that as well. And that's why you've got so many clients, big and small, that you work with. And not just here in Cornwall as well. People think that you're just Cornwall based, but I know you spend a lot of time out of our glorious duchy working on various other projects. And that's kind of where Corker's come in, isn't it, a little bit more? Do you want to tell us a bit about that? Because that's new. I think a lot of people might have heard of the Cornwall channel, but do you want to tell us about Corker? Yeah,
sure. I'd love that. Thank you. For me, Corker came about because, you're right, I was given an opportunity to work out of Cornwall via Lawrence Finn. I want to shout out to Lawrence. He got me a fantastic lead and now a client in London Mayfair. Success CXP, Michael Thorpe and Nadeem Admani.
Amazing friends as well. They're brilliant people.
Such great inspirational people. And talk about people over profits. These guys are exactly the same. And so I started working with them. I was working outside of Cornwall as well, but these have become regular clients where I go every month and produce a podcast with them in Mayfair. And it just made sense, when people kind of meet me up there and say, you're from Cornwall, so why have you come up to Cornwall to do this? I just wanted an open brand that I could take anywhere. So whether we're in Edinburgh, London, Birmingham, and these are all places we've been with success.
I know, I've seen. You're all over the place.
Oh, my goodness. And next year it's going to be even more. So we're off to Ireland, we're off to Wales, we're off to, fill in the blank. It's just so many. But I just wanted an open brand. And Mike Spinks, who is obviously part of the team here, huge part of the team, Mike and Jay and Andy, they're all great people. And he kind of said, what about Corker Media? So he came up with the name, and I'm like, I don't mind that. It's a Corker, it's a good production, that sort of thing. Yeah, okay. But it was really clever because he came up with that because Cornwall, C-O-R, is for the core, and then Kerno, K-E-R.
I get
so
it now.
Then
that's fantastic.
A code there, Corker. There's still a bit of Cornwall in there.
It's like a double meaning then as well. Yeah, fantastic.
So it had a bit of meaning. So I said, I love that. And that was it, And
I know you've released some of the branding for that, haven't you? On the back of the Your Partnerships magazine. I know you've taken the full back page of that.
Yeah.
And I know you've alluded to it.
I was done on that.
Yeah, that David Brock, I tell you. You're starting to drip feed. I know next year's a big year for you with it, isn't it?
Yeah, so we are literally just sorting out the website now. It's looking fantastic. But at the minute, it's just a holding page there whilst Mike finishes off the last little bits. And as you know, Mike is a fantastic graphic designer,
he is.
Which I know you appreciate because having your own creative agency.
Yes.
And knocking it out of the park, by the way.
Thank you,
if you're not already using these guys for creative design, then you need to use.
See, I'm supposed to be hosting. You see.
I know.
You can't help yourself.
I can't help it.
But thank you for it. And this is what I say about showing, building people up.
Yeah, well, you are good, and we appreciate you. But yeah, so the site is almost ready. And then, I've just got the last little bits to do on the social media pages. I've set up the LinkedIn page this morning, and it'll be right out the gates. But we have got work already, which is great. But I just need to and take up a level.
And that's not just podcasts like this, where you can take the podcast studio to different locations around the country, but that's promotional videos.
Indeed. Well. And again, because we collaborate a lot with big box advertising and the creative side, is that, even through you guys, you have some wonderful clients in London that you've introduced us to, which opens up the opportunity to do videos for them. And I mean, I don't know if we can say who they are because it's quite a prestigious introduction you've done. I don't want to get you in trouble.
We'll leave that for a moment, that one. We'll keep it very, very secret.
Okay, fine.
We'll see more.
Yes, indeed.
But there's a hell of a lot of other clients as well that we've got up country that we're still to introduce you to. Even recently, That because that's the thing between what I do with Big Box Creative Design, with the graphic design and putting together logos and branding and you know, things like brochures and things like that. Once they've got that new brand, they need a way to get it out to the world and to showcase it in video form, and that people probably wonder, why do we work together so much? And that is the reason.
It's a natural fit. It's a natural fit. And likewise with us, if we're making videos, there's other ways they want to get their videos seen. So with your screens, for example, here in Cornwall in the hospitals, it's just the natural recommendation to say, well, look, have you thought about putting yourself in front of all these NHS
and I think we've got 2
Cornwall.
or 3 videos at the moment that you're creating for clients of mine to advertise in Treliske Hospital, which is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And their advert will go down better. It will get more, it will work better because of that movement and that peripheral vision.
Less is more, and a few good thought out frames moving is fantastic. But then you just work from the design that's already been done, which Alec would have probably done, and you just kind of bring that to life. So you've got fantastic still design, and then you start bringing that to life in video form. It becomes very powerful.
So I'm going to ask you now, to anyone that's watching, what top tip have you got for them at the moment in your industry?
In my industry, to be honest, I think it would be, I've got a couple of things. If I
sprung it on you, I know.
Yeah. But I think there's a couple of things I want to add to this, and that is to network. If you struck back any industry you're in, any industry, if I had my time starting over again, I would do more networking. Now, there is a fine line. You can't network all the time, otherwise you get nothing done. So you have to be a bit strategic, but at least get yourself out there. The power of the networking is phenomenal.
I agree.
And I think hands down, probably the best form of any promotion there is.
We get the majority of our business through that as well.
100%.
I mean, we're equally, you know, fond of the likes of your partnerships and the Cornwall Chamber of Commerce,
indeed,
and other networks like that, and they're fantastic in their own ways. It connecting us with the people that we want to meet and work with. And it won't necessarily be the people think about networking, you turn out, you sell to everyone in the room, then you go home. That's not networking. And I think the people that do it know that. I think it's getting to know people in business, which is half the fun of it. Once you get to know people, they get to trust you. And I think from there, they will recommend you to people that they know that don't network and are not in the room. And then that's where the real gold comes in. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. When you go to networking, some people are there for a reason, and some people are there for a season.
I like that.
And it's those who kind of stick with it and keep turning up and bringing value and adding value to every meeting and how they can help people that become the most fruitful. And I've seen it over and over and over again. So that's the first kind of tip.
Yep. Number one, network.
You know, yeah, absolutely. Whatever industry, and and use the organisations. Certainly here in Cornwall, your local Chamber of Commerce. If you're watching this outside of Cornwall, find your local Chamber of Commerce, engage with them, get a meeting with them.
Yeah,
it'll be the best thing you can do.
I agree.
And then obviously, if you're in Cornwall, there are organisations such as your partnerships, which obviously we're big advocates of.
And they're expanding out of county as well now.
Absolutely. So network. That's for the first one. And then the second thing is kind of giving back and a bit of kind of getting comfortable being on camera to do kind of, because video does stand out.
It does.
You're great at it. You're great at hosting, but there would have been a time that you wasn't.
No.
So I used
to get really nervous, but yeah, I lost it now.
So, you know, you just need to get comfortable. You have to get uncomfortable sometimes and do things over and over again till you feel a bit better. Because then if you can put little bite-sized bits out, and it only has to be bite-sized, 30 seconds, just what you're up to for that day, just to start building up a personality, because people buy from people.
They do.
We've heard this. So that's another thing. Be consistent with your kind of social media output. And then by networking, all you're doing really is you're diverting people back to where you are online. So whether that's connect on the LinkedIn, so when people check you out, you've got some content there. It breeds the personality.
Substance, right?
Yes. There's nothing worse than meeting someone at a meeting. They seem great. You go back to check them out, and there's just nothing about them online. And this is why it's important to get your materials right, your graphic design, your business guide, your brochures.
We always teach that consistency within your brand. It's incredibly important. And yeah, I mean, like you do, we work with clients over months and months. They have regular work with us all the time. And it's not necessarily that anyone can go on Canva and just come up with a with a thing like that. But essentially just making sure that your brand is always consistent.
Yeah.
And then the people recognize you. I had this saying, actually, you'll like this actually. Using Canva instead of Adobe, instead of like InDesign or Photoshop or whatever, is a little bit like cooking your dinner in a microwave and calling yourself a chef.
Yes,
that's
right.
what Canva is. It does a job. It heats your food up, but you don't have the expertise of a chef.
Absolutely. And it's a bit like Fiverr.com as well, you know?
Yeah.
You
get what you pay for.
Exactly, you do. And it's like handing someone a business card that's been made by a certain online printer that's really flimsy, you know? Because that person who's ordered it didn't know. So
it's that American Psycho scene, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. The business
I've got
card.
that. Yeah, we've all seen it.
So it's all about knowledge, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's what you're also paying for. It's like the plumber or something who got called out and literally just fixed the thing by just getting his hammer out and just tap this kind of pipe, and it fixed everything. And he gave the bill to the person, and it was like 200 quid. They said, 200 quid? How's it so much? You know, all you did was hit the hammer on the pipe. He said, yes. But it's knowing where to hit the hammer.
So exactly. I
knowledge
agree with
is
you
power.
It is indeed, my friend, and some knowledge you have as well. I'm going to wrap it up there, Shane, but thank you so much for coming on the very first
I know.
Might Be Meats. I'm very
What the
honoured to
hell?
have this. This
I'm
is
like,
incredible
what?
for me. And especially after the success of Shane Solomon Meats. And please subscribe to his channel. We'll have a little competition, see who gets the most subscribers.
Because you'll probably beat me.
Well, anyone that is watching, we haven't met before, and you want to come on a Might Be Meats or a Shane Solomon Meats, please do get in touch with us. We'll put our details on the post. Shane, thank you so much for being my first ever guest.
I just want to hand it back to you and say thank you very much for everything you do, for not just me, but the Cornwall Channel.
Thank
You
you,
and
my friend.
Spencer and Alec are such a team, such a force, and it's no coincidence that we've connected, because you think very similar to me. People over profits, look after the people, and the profits will come.
It's the only way to be. No, thank you, Shane, for being you. And on that note, everybody, thank you so much for watching.